Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking all things suits of the minor arcana in the tarot. So obviously this is going to be targeted for the beginner tarot reader who's wanting to get a better understanding of what each of the suits within the minor arcana represents, any sort of common themes, threads, or meanings that might help you better understand, interpret, and read the cards. So if you're interested in learning about the suits of the minor arcana, keep watching and let's get into it. So just some basic information that you want to absolutely know is that there are 4 suits in the tarot. We're talking about Rider-Waite-Smith system here, and these are the 4 different suits here. But we have the Ace of Cups, Swords, Pentacles, and Wands. Those make up the 4 suits of the minor arcana, which you will also have court cards that fall within as well. Each one of these suits has an element that corresponds to it, and a rulership that links to that element and the suit. So let's start things off with the suit of cups. The suit of cups corresponds to the element of water and rules our emotions. So with the suit of cups, you will always see an element of emotions come into play with each of the cards. In one way or another, there's always going to be an emotional link to the cards that you may not see necessarily in the other suits. And with that, you'll often see a more emotional twist to the way the cards are interpreted as well as depicted for this suit. The suit of swords corresponds to the element of air, which rules thought and the mental plane or mental state. So with this suit, throughout the minor arcana, you're going to see themes of thought, themes of decision-making, themes of a use of intellect, needing to kind of think things out, having to make decisions, being faced with things that are going to generally link back to the mental state in one way or another. You'll see themes like anxiety and overthinking come up in this suit in ways that you may not see it come up in the other suits because that is ruling the mental state. The suit of wands is linked to the element of fire, which corresponds to action and creation. So throughout this suit, you're going to see themes of taking action, taking initiative, creating things, creative energy flowing, bringing things forward, bringing ideas to fruition. Those are the big themes you'll see with this suit. There's lots of action in this suit. The suit of pentacles links to the element of earth, which corresponds to the material world, physical possessions, and the here and now. This is truly more rooted and grounded within the earth, and with that, you're seeing things that are more of the physical world in this suit. So business, finances, even education, possessions, personal gain in the world, anything related to physical abundance and material possessions, all of those sorts of things are going to come up in the suit of pentacles. So now I wanted to give you a couple of examples of different numbers throughout the minor arcana and how we can see a common thread theme, but how it is expressed differently throughout each of the suits, just to give you a better understanding and a more practical way of seeing how these different energies can play out. So I've chosen to start with the 5s of the minor arcana, and I have each of them here laid out from each of the suits to show you the differences here. Now, the common thread theme we're seeing in the 5s is typically conflict or challenge of some sort. Now, in the 5 of Wands, which links to the element of fire and action, creation, those sorts of energies, we see physical action of conflict, right? These people are disagreeing with one another. They're sort of beating each other with sticks. There's even a sort of childlike energy, or I should say childish energy to this argument that's happening here. An argument like this taking to the physical, it's not being handled necessarily in the best way possible. Then we see conflict of a different variety here with the 5 of Pentacles. Again, Pentacles linked to the element of earth, and that relates to the material world, our physical possessions. And here we have a fear of poverty. So we have these figures that are outdoors in the snow. It's very cold out. They're possibly facing some sort of a financial struggle that is leaving them in a place where they're feeling a little afraid of what the future may hold for them. It's definitely a fear of poverty, but there is an energy with this card of holding on to hope, which is why we see the pentacles and the stained glass in the background. But overall, we do definitely see that thread of conflict of some sort here as well. Then in the 5 of Cups, we have a different sort of conflict. Again, the cups relate to emotions and the element of water. So we see here this figure dressed in all black looking down at these spilled cups in front of him. So this is a conflict of an emotional type, right? This is a conflict of loss. This is a conflict of mourning. This is that sort of a challenge that someone will face in life. So these are all different types of challenges someone can face in life. This is just the more emotional type of challenge some might face. Now, with this card, we also see another element of hope, because in the Five of Pentacles, much like how we see the stained glass is where those pentacles are, and that gives that symbol of hope, what we have in the Five of Cups is these two cups upright right behind the figure. So if he would just turn around and see those cups, he would know that the universe is always providing for him. The universe has his back and is watching out for him even in these dark and challenging times. Looking at the same thread of conflict in the Five of Swords, the Suit of Swords links to the element of air, which rules our thoughts. And here we see clearly there was some sort of an argument, a disagreement of some sort, and there's almost this energy of it not being worth the fight, because somebody's so rooted in their way of thinking or being that they don't care to work things out with others. They don't care to play nicely with others, let's say. And so everyone just sort of gave up and threw their swords down and is walking away as this person is sort of collecting all of the swords that are left behind. But it's not because this person won a well-won battle or a fair challenge here. This is something where everybody else said, you know, you're not worth the energy, you're not being fair, I'm walking away from this. So there's a conflict here relating to being perhaps too focused on the self, whether this be you or the other person. This can be either way, however you perceive it regarding a reading, and what other cards come up around it, whatever the conflict may be, will help you understand that a little further. But there is an energy of conflict here relating to how you think things through, how people handle things. And so the thing I will say here is that these two cards, the Pentacles and the Cups, have this element of hope, and that's very obvious. And in the Wands and the Swords, there's not as much of an obvious sign of hope, but there is a lesson. So rather than having hope in these cards, we see a lesson. So there is hope that this person will reflect on the fact that all these people are walking away and they can grow from that. And then here there's hope that all of these people who are childishly handling a situation, beating each other with sticks, like I like to say, will realize that is not the right way to sort out their problems, that there's a more mature way to handle whatever issues they are being faced with, whatever challenge they're trying to work through, rather than taking physical action, which isn't too surprising because we're talking about the element of fire with wands, but it still doesn't necessarily mean it's always the right action to take. So that's how we see the differences in the fives throughout the minor arcana. I want to give you a couple more examples, so let me get into those. So the other number I chose to use as an example here is the twos. And twos, you typically see a theme of choice. Now, in the Two of Swords, you see a figure that is faced with a choice. And each of these swords represents those two options that she's trying to decide between. The interesting thing with this choice is that it's something that is, you see these rocks here, it's coming to the surface. So perhaps this is a choice she's been waiting on. And now it's finally time she needs to make that decision. And because we have this little opening here at the third eye, it shows that this is not a decision that you're going to find the right answer focusing too much on overthinking things, which is typically the theme here with the swords. It's thought. So sometimes we overthink things. We have to allow our intuition to guide us with this one. So if we focus too much on weighing things, we're not going to allow our intuition to guide us to what maybe the right choice for us is, and it may not be the obvious choice. With the Suit of Cups here, the Two of Cups, we have a different type of choice. This is the choice of partnership. This is choosing to work with someone harmoniously. There's a beautiful partnership coming together between two people. And this is, of all of the twos, I would say is the one where it's the least obvious choice theme. But if you think about it, every partnership in our life is a choice. And this is one that has worked out well. And again, we're talking about cups, so emotions. This is a beautiful, harmonious energy of two people finding a balance within each other, finding emotional fulfillment within each other, working well together, whatever it may be. This isn't always romantic. This could even be a good business partnership, but this is two people coming together and finding that they work well together and choosing to be with one another. There is always that choice in love, in friendship. Every relationship we have in our life, we choose to keep it. And this happens to be a very positive one here. With the Two of Pentacles, we have the balancing, the weighing of options. So similar to the Two of Swords, but rather than being fixated on the thought process of it and dissecting it and what's the right choice to make and having to push that aside, allow the intuition to guide you. With this one, you really are almost physically weighing your options here. You're faced with a choice that maybe can represent two different paths you can take that will affect you in the physical world, in the material world, but it's important to focus on what is best for you here. There's these waves in the background with the ships that may be outside influence trying to affect that decision-making process. But again, we still see a theme of choice, needing to focus on yourself, what is best for you, what is best for your path, your goals, whether that be your business, your path to success in whatever it is this is speaking to, but it is a choice nonetheless. And here we have with the Two of Wands, again, the element of fire. This is creation. It's that choice to be able to create whatever path you want for yourself. This figure stands here looking out onto the horizon, holding a globe in his hand. He literally has the world at his fingertips. He can do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants, be whoever he wants to be. The choice is his, and he has the choice to go absolutely wherever he wants. This is a really beautiful energy of having almost being spoiled for choice when it comes to what you want to create for yourself. I've described this on my channel before as almost the unwritten book. It's that new chapter for you where you get to create whatever you want for yourself. So this is that action and creation coming through in a really beautiful and positive way. So as you can see here, all of these are choices. They just express themselves very differently with each of those suits and the influences of that suit. And of course, obviously how they were depicted. Another example I want to give you here is the tens. So tens represent cycles. It's either the completion of a cycle, the beginning of a cycle, but all of that is always ever evolving, right? Think of it as the Wheel of Fortune card. That's the 10 in the major arcana. So here we have that same sort of energy, linking more so to the cycle aspect of the Wheel of Fortune. So with each of these cards, we have some sort of a cyclical energy coming through. With the 10 of Cups, again, ruling emotions with the element of water here. This is deep emotional fulfillment. This is finally reaching a point in life, which often usually links to purchasing a home, of deep emotional fulfillment within the family. Things that you have always wanted for your family in your life. It's this coming together. It's the children are dancing, the husband and wife are throwing their arms up in the air celebrating, and there's this beautiful rainbow over them. This is a cycle that maybe they've worked hard to get to. This is a new beginning for them of finally reaching this place for their family, of being able to own a home or come together as a family in a way that they have been working towards for a long time. It's a really beautiful energy for families for sure. And then we see here another cyclical energy with the 10 of Wands. This card has a great energy of release because it's carrying a burden. This is the completion of a cycle, absolutely, in my opinion, because it's almost over. This person is finally reaching their village. You can see it off here in the distance. So all of this burden they've been carrying, they're about to release. Because we're talking about the element of fire with the suit of wands, it's often because there's a lot of action and creation, there can be a bit of stubbornness with this energy. So this person has been carrying all of this by themselves, but they could have asked for help. They don't need to carry it alone, but they're finally reaching that release. And I think through the process have learned that they don't need to do it alone, but it wasn't until they took all that burden and carried all that weight on their own that they realized that it's okay to ask for help. People around us who care for us want to help us along our journeys that maybe are a little more challenging. But again, that completion of a cycle here. The 10 of Swords is an absolute completion of a cycle. This is an ending of some sort usually. There can be an energy of purification here. This is a necessary end. And because we're talking about the mental state, maybe this is something that has been really weighing on your mind for a long time, and it's finally completed. And maybe it doesn't have the outcome you were hoping for, or perhaps It's that forced necessary outcome in order for you to grow, in order for you to shift and begin. Like I said, it's a purification, a new beginning. Set a new direction for yourself that maybe you wouldn't have had it not been for this ending, whatever it may be. Another cycle energy we have here with the Ten of Pentacles. This is more of a generational energy. This is a coming together of family, usually coming together of generations. There's even energies of inheritance with this card. It's those cycles of life within the line and within the family energy. So different from this is more your immediate family, the family you build for yourself. This is the family you're born into, the lineage, the elders, the evolving through the cycles of the different energies you become throughout life as you grow from child to adult to elder. This is all of that, but relating to the physical, the material world. It's that passing on of that energy in some way and the coming together of all of those different energies, but also cyclical nevertheless. So again, another great example of how very different energies all have a similar common thread of cycle. Because of the number, it's the numerology linking with the elements and the meanings of each of these suits. And I wanted to give a court card example as well. So I chose the Knights. I feel like kings and queens are the obvious choices, and I feel like they're the easier examples of how we can see the differences in the energies because they are very archetypal. I mean, honestly, everything in the tarot is very archetypal, but I thought the Knights were kind of maybe a less obvious choice. With the Knights, we obviously have a strong warrior-like energy, and we see how this expresses differently in each of the suits. Again, cups rule emotion, and so here we see a more sensitive knight. This is not the warrior that's just gonna ride into battle and start striking things, although you will see him in this pile, but he's not this one. This knight is more in touch with his emotions. He typically brings good communication, good offers. He's very genuine. He's very heartfelt. And of the Knights, he is definitely, in my opinion, the softest of the Knights. And that doesn't mean that he isn't strong and he isn't a warrior. He's just more of a peaceful warrior, let's say. And then we have the Knight of Wands. So this knight is going to be the one to really set fire to the fight, the situation, whatever this knight is defending. And obviously, since we're talking about wands, there's that element of fire. They're going to take action, they're going to take initiative. With the Knight of Swords, this is taking action in a different way. The Knight of Wands is ready to fight. He's got his fire, his inner fire is ignited and he's ready to go. This is almost like ignorantly riding into battle, taking charge of a situation. There's many other ways you can interpret this card, but if we're looking at it on its own, depending on what you're reading for someone, I've seen this card come up for someone in regards to their health, and to me it really said she was taking initiative or taking action on her health, like finally doing it, maybe not overthinking it, and that was exactly what it was. And sometimes you need that energy of not overthinking too much, just taking action, but sometimes maybe you're taking action without thinking. So there's two different ways you can see this, but either way, this is a knight that is riding into battle quite quickly. As you can see, he's the one with the most movement and motion, and obviously he is the element of air here, so I think that's why we see an exceptional amount of motion in this card, the way the horse is even gliding in the air, it almost seems. And then we have the slowest. So here we have the more peaceful warrior, and this card, the Knight of Pentacles, I always refer to as slow and steady wins the race. This knight moves slower than the other knights, but he's more strategic, he's methodical, he thinks things through because he is very grounded in the earth, and because he's maybe had a little more success in life, because he is the Knight of Pentacles. And it's often said that he moves slower because he has more coin than the other ones do. He's found more success in life, but because of that, he's figured out his way to move through the world, where to strike and where not to. So he is the more methodical because of his worldly experience, his lived experience. So as you can see, they're all warriors, but we see the warrior archetype expressing itself very differently in each of these cards. So I thought that this would be an interesting court card example for you of how we can see the suits express themselves quite differently. All right, everyone, so this concludes today's video all about the suits of the minor arcana. I hope you found the practices and ideas of how to study and learn these suits that I shared to be helpful. These are practices that I myself have used and have used to teach others as well, and I really do think it helps improve not only your understanding of the suits, but how you read the minor arcana. So again, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, feel free to post those in the comments section below. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And if you are interested in tarot and spirituality, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you join along. And until next time, take care and be well. Bye, guys.